So what we've got here is a UK typical window. We've got a large pane here, a sort of medium-sized window here, and a small top opener here. So bear that in mind. I'm going to do a video on my belt setup, and I'm going to incorporate lock on the belts as well, because that's a popular topic at the moment. Just trying to move this back a little bit. Maybe I should step back a bit. Okay, so as you saw there was 3 separate sized panes of windows in that unit of, well, we call this a unit window. And UPVC, most windows in the UK UPVC, or a little bit more expensive is the aluminium type windows. I hardly ever deal with old wooden windows. Sometimes wooden windows, but they're not old. They're in they've got sills to them, so not a problem using liquidators. So this belt arrangement I've got at the moment complements not only my residential work but also my way of working. So I'll give you a quick example. I like to work with minimum movement, and minimum movement, some people might know what I'm talking about, others won't. So I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of minimum movement. I'm going to just wet my rubber. Okay, so minimum movement means that the squeegee makes a very small amount of travel over the glass, and my minimum movement also incorporates precision. So it's called precision positioning, because positioning is very important to get the maximum coverage, so I don't have to waste my moves, my strokes. Like most window cleaners, if not all window cleaners, they use extra moves that are really not needed. If you can hone your technique, use more sophisticated tool, and the only tools that I use these days are liquidators. I'm at a point of my working career that I've used everything. I've tried it all. I've used those tools further than anybody that I know who uses all types of tools, and they're just not good enough for my style of work. I look for precision and precision and positioning, and liquidators offer the highest ability and for that way of working, and that means for the certain size squeegee relates to the certain size window. So looking at this window again, a small opener window like this will require a 6.5 inch squeegee, which is there, this one here, 16 inch squeegee here, and either 14 or 12 here, depending on that frame. If it's a nasty frame to work against, then I will start from the top of the window all the way down, or as you saw with my round the world sort of technique, I just did a minimum movement because that window frame allowed me to work like that. But because I'm a versatile window cleaner, I don't do the same thing day in day out. I will vary my ways of working depending on the frame or the sill that I'm working up against, will determine how I will attack that window. So could use a number of these squeegees, 1, 2, 3, 10 inch, 12 inch or 14, because it's a nice smooth edge to work up against. It was a 14, no problem. And this is an additional squeegee that I carry around with me for certain jobs with very tiny windows, but most of the time this is not there. So here is a holster that carries my opener windows squeegees, 6 inch and an 8 inch, or 6.5 inch and an 8 inch, and they're in 2 different types of handles. This is a flattened out standard handle. This is for working face sort of area or above face area, but this squeegee is probably my least used squeegee on my belt. This is for really high windows where I need an extra hook on the handle. You can see here completely different handles, and the higher the window, the more hook I need to close out on. Also, it allows me to go into 0 degree, and very good to work on very thin windows as well. So my belt accessories and my working belt has evolved how my skill and techniques have evolved, and that means I have to carry more squeegees than the average window cleaner, but the good news is that I'm able to select the right size squeegee for the right size pane of glass and get the job done in the minimal amount of work, minimal amount of strokes, and minimal amount of issues. So on this belt system at the moment, I've got it in a residential sort of mode. I've also I use this belt, the same belt, but in a different way in commercial, and I'll first talk about the residential side and then I'll move over to commercial, because I use the especially the bucket on the belt completely differently in commercial work, and I do sort of 50-50 work, residential 50%, commercial 50%. The accessories stay the same, but I use different tools, and I use my belt differently. So first of all, we're going to talk about residential, and I'm going to talk about how this belt is set up for my style of work. So my style of work is I'm a washer in my left hand, and I'm a squeegee in my right hand. This is my go-to hand for squeegees. This is my go-to hand for the washer. Now, also I incorporate gloves and a trolley in my working belt setup. So although this has nothing to do with my belt as such, this is a part of my belt. These are accessories that relate to my belt. So I work very uniquely. I'm very in tune with how I use tools, certain tools, specific tools, and this also includes my gloves. So why do I wear my scrub gloves for residential work? So my left hand gets the washer, my right hand gets my go-to squeegee. These are my most used squeegees here. 1, 2, 3. Least used squeegee here, least used squeegee here, middle of the range squeegee here. And I'll talk about how I use these tools in a minute. So right hand grabs my go-to squeegee, my most used squeegees. Right, so here's an example. I wash the window, it's a dirty window, I need to scrub it. So then I scrub it with my scrub glove. I don't put my tools away, and then I wash it again, and then I start squeegeeing, and then I notice that there's still dirt on there, so I can scrub it again with my other hand, and then I wash it again, and then I'm squeegeeing. So I learned a saying off a carpenter: a good carpenter never puts his tools down. So if a good carpenter never puts his tools down, then a good window cleaner should never put his tools down as well. So the other alternative is I wash, then I squeegee, and I see there's dirt there, so I could maybe start rubbing here, but these scrubbers are not really good, they wear out very quickly, so I have to stop what I'm doing, putting all my tools away, get my steel wool, start scrubbing. Okay, I've got the dirt off, put it away, get the tool out, wash, squeegee, job done. And that took a lot longer than if I was doing this, and then go like that. I never put my tools down. So as you can see, my tool setup belt all encompasses external factors as well. So I want to work with a minimum fuss, with the most effectiveness, the most productivity in the least amount of time. So being effective and efficient, not just being efficient. There's no point being efficient if you're not effective. So let's talk about my squeegees. So there's a big rave going on at the moment. Everyone's raving about bucket on the belts. Now, a bucket on the belt for residential work is heavily relied upon for me, but it's not really relied upon other more than just having my washer coming around with me up a ladder, walking around. In commercial work, I hardly ever use my bucket on the belt. you can see that there's two squeegees here. My most used squeegee in my bucket and belt is here, 12 inch. I can take it out like this, put it to my right hand, and then put it back again, no problem. The problem what I have with bucket and belts is, or look at people's belt setups, is they have all their tools, no matter how many they use, if they use one, or if they use two, or if they use four squeegees, plus the washer, they're doing this in one position of the belt. Or if the belt's on this side, or the bucket's on this side, it's this. They're aiming for one place. Now, to me, that's restrictive. That is a lot more effective. My right hand is predominantly doing the squeegeeing. My go-to squeegees are here. My washer is always on the left side. That's why I put my my bucket on the left side, because that's my washer side. So automatically, I'm working more conveniently, more effectively, more efficiently than window cleaners that have a bucket on the belt, and that's what I have, no accessories complementing the bucket and the belt. Secondly, I'm a two-handed window cleaner at all times, unless I'm in a very tight situation where I've got to get a very hard position behind a wall. I can't put my scrubber in. That's when I start relying on a tool like this, for example, a combination tool. So I can maybe get past a window, I can just wet, and then I can squeegee. But I'm not a big fan of using combination tools in the hand. I'm not a big fan of using a wag that's wagging all the time. I'm just not a big fan of combination tools other than being on a pole. Much more convenient being on a pole, much more effective being on a pole than being in the hand. Why? Because if I'm washing with my left hand, I'm squeezing with my right, I use my washer to collect as much dirt or water coming off the glass. If I've only got a combination tool, then it's all going to fall off. Let's give a quick example without it wagging. So let's wash the window, then let it go. Now I can squeegee. So this is not just talking about a wagtail, it's talking about any combination tool, combinator, vice versa, anything. It's all one tool. I'm just using one hand, and I'm working harder and slower than I need to. So combination tools is only ever used in the hand for specific reasons. Other than that, I don't need a wagging tool, only for extra reach. So let's say I've got a tool. This is my accelerator. This is the only accelerator that I carry around with me on my belt when I'm doing residential work. If I need to get that extra reach, the window's over here, I can only go this far on a ladder. I can just press the button and I can get that extra reach like that. That's the only time I need a wag. Otherwise, I'm in more control with a stiff squeegee than I am with a wagging squeegee. So the only tools that I use now, I've used all the tools in the past, and I've got to a certain point in my career as a window cleaner where I only work with precision, and that means liquidators, and there's a variety of different handles depending on what sort of jobs I'm doing. I've got one accelerator here, the rest are just standard kind of handles, apart from this one. So I'm a two-handed window cleaner. I'm not one of these window cleaners that, let's imagine I'm left-handed, I'm washing, sorry, and then I'll put it down, and I'll get my left hand again, and then I'll squeegee in, and then I'll put it down, and then I get my towel, and what's this right hand doing? This right hand's doing nothing. That's if I'm a left-handed window cleaner. So these are things that I call one-handed window cleaners. So a bucket on a belt is suitable for one-handed window cleaners, but I'm more advanced than a one-handed window cleaner. I'm a two-handed window cleaner at all times, and this is how I want to work. I want my squeegees, my go-to squeegees, my most used squeegees on the left, or if it's a squeegee that I use quite a lot in my bucket and a belt, just one hand, there we go. This is my least used squeegee, this one and this one. So this is a movement that I don't want to be doing. Okay, if this was over this side, then I'll be doing this, going for the same position all the time. That's not just restrictive, that's slowing me down. So another benefit of having squeegees both left and right on my belt is when I'm on a ladder and the window is much wider than myself, I've got to reach that side and I've got to reach that side, and maybe I've got to reach underneath the actual ladder where it's pointed up. I've got my washer here, I'll wash up one side. Always I'll start on the left hand side because that's where my washer is. I'll either put it back in my bucket, or sometimes I'll rest it on the sill, on the window sill. And I've got my left squeegee and I can squeegee that, and then move it over on the window sill and start scrubbing this side, because I can't move because I'm on a ladder, and then put it down, and then I've got my right side that I can squeegee. So I've got both left and right. The only other alternative is if I've just got a bucket on the belt and I'm going to use one tool or maybe two tools for the top opener ones and then the larger one, then what I'm going to have to do is put the squeegee probably on the windowsill. Now, because I've never worked like this, I'm just guessing what I would do. Put it on the windowsill, move it along after I've done that side. Hopefully this won't fall down, because I was so used to when I was before I started wearing a work belt, when I first began window cleaning, these always landed on the floor because it always fell down. So just push it along on the side of the windowsill and hopefully it won't fall down, and then I can now wash and then wipe. Just aggravation. If this falls on the floor, it's not really going to damage it. Maybe this will crack, but so what. But if your squeegee goes on the floor, you haven't got any replacements, then you know the squeegee's no good anymore. So that is another benefit of having squeegees both left and right. If I'm just relying on a bucket on a belt, then I'm going to be big time restricted on a ladder compared to what I am at the moment.